Hello folks, Jan Montarsi here from Gembox Designs, coming back for part 2 of my series of videos. Just to remind you, any tools that you want to buy, you can go to Blendangles on Facebook. In this video I used the small mini angle template. By the end of my videos I will be using the Create template. But just to get a move on here, if you've watched the first video, these were the resulting blends. I had 4 sections of blends, the 3 I had prepared in that video, plus the 1 I made in the video, and I blended them into all one blend. I then took 1/4 of that blend, which I'm going to be using. So if you're going to do this yourself, if you just make 1 section of the blends like I did in the video, that's how much clay this is. And I've leached my clay. You can see it's still putting oil out. Hope that shows up. But when you go to do the precision cut work with the Create template, if your clay is firm and dry, not crumbly, but you don't want it mushy, so that you can get good crisp lines on your template cuts. So what I have here is I have 1 portion of the blend that I did in my previous video, and I'm going to blend that a few times in a second. Then I have white, which I put a tiny little pinch of the mud that I had from the previous video, just to give it an off-white color. I didn't do that on my first time I did this cane, and I liked it, but I just wanted to try something different. And then I have some black. This black is rolled out on my 7th setting. It's very thin. I'm going to give it 1 pass here. Actually, I'm going to go back to my 6th setting. I think 6 will be good enough. Okay, so that's on my 6th setting. The white is on my 5th setting. And then I'm going to condition this a few times and bring it down to my thickest setting, which is a 0 on my machine. See that little crack when I fold it? That's good. That means it's leached enough. You don't want it falling apart, but that's when you know it's leached right. Just need to do this a few times to get it lined up and back to the thickest setting on my pasta machine. All right, so do that one more time. I'm getting a bow in the middle. And how to fix that is to fold it, press your middle, make sure your blend is seated all the way down equally. See how that straightened it out? Do it one more time. Make sure it's pressed all the way across this time. That only happens on my thick setting. Okay, there we go. So now I have my blend. I'm going to take a piece almost. My camera leg was sitting on my blade. This is going to stretch out, so I want to make sure my white piece is as wide. I'm going to run my black through again. So it's the other direction. And trim that square. That's good enough. Now I'm going to run this piece through one time. I'm going to start on my second setting to see how thick it is. And that moved it just a little bit. I think that's enough. Nope, I'm going to go one more. I want a little thinner than that. So that was my fourth setting. And you can see how big it is. I'm going to put my rainbow blend on there. Trim up any excess. I'm going to run this through. At this point, the color was on my thickest setting, and the black originally was run on the 6th setting. The white was on the 5th setting, and I put those together and ran them back through on the 4th setting of my machine. The colored part is on my thickest. I'm going to take this down to my 3rd setting. And you can see it's still fairly thick. I'm working on paper here. I'm going to switch over to one of my plastic sheets so you don't have as much glare. So now what we're going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is cut it in half. We will be cutting in half both directions. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to cut it in half long ways this time first. And I'm going to clean up this little bit of an edge here. Just a little bit. We can trim later. Now, I'm going to place... I'm going to turn it around this way. This is how I'm going to do this one. So you can see how they're turned around. And I stack that. And I'm going to cut this in half. Let me show you that again real quick. Cut this again in half. This is what we have. I'm going to turn one of those around and stack it. Now I have this. And then I'm going to cut this in half one more time. I'm going to straighten up this little side edge here, so it's more straight so I can see what I'm cutting. And I'm going to go to a thinner blade. I'm going to cut this one more time in half. There's what I have. And I can decide to put it together this way or this way. If I do it this way, my yellows are real close together. If I do it this way, they're more staggered apart. I'm gonna leave it that way. Now I've pressed my cane together. I'm just going to trim a little bit off the end because that's going to be scrap. It's all chunky on the ends. And you see one end is purples and yellows, and so is the other end. In the middle I have greens. Now we need to let this cane rest to get the heat out of it. And for myself, I use a Lucy slicer. I'm not the most efficient at cutting straight slices. Plus, if you use a Lucy slicer or a Simmons slicer, you get much more use out of your cane. I'm going to cut one thin slice off of here. And you see, that just evened it out. There's one slice of our blend. Now I'm going to cut some slices with my Lucy slicer so that we can line them up. And I will be right back with that. If none of you have, actually I'll show you right on camera if I can. This is my Lucy slicer. This is a blade safer. I'll tip this back here a little bit. You can see my blade. I'm going to put this on the blade. And then push the blade down so it covers. I sell these blade covers. I sell them for the Lucy slicer and the Simmons slicers. This one's 6 inches. The Simmons slicer one is 5 inches. They're $5 on my site if you buy any of my tools. If you have a slicer, add it to your thing. They're easy on, easy off. They stay on. I'm right near my clay here, and I'm on this angle, so I'm trying to be careful. But they come off and go on easy. Always stay afraid of your blade. They're very sharp. So anyway, I'm going to move my table back a little bit. Okay. Now, I've augmented my slicer. I have an acrylic block put on here, and it's held down with translucent clay squares, and that way I can put it on and press to make sure it's level with my blade. On the back here, I have a big slab of clay. I need to move back just a little bit more. That's the other thing. If you have your blade safer on, you can move your thing and it's rounded, so it's not like you're scraping your blade across there. Okay, so now see if I can show you this. I have my blade safer on there, so I'm not afraid of the blade. And I'm going to take my cane and I'm going to put it against my slab of clay. I'm going to press it down. Now this clay has been leached, so I'm not too worried about it being too cooled off, but if you're at home, give it time. Okay, I've pressed it down and I've pressed it back. Now my blade's about a ½ inch from that. I'm going to go ahead and take off my blade cover. I'm going to try to do this on an angle so you can see what I'm doing. Hang on one sec. There's always stuff around we can work on. I think that's showing on the camera just fine. Okay. This is not the most safe thing I could probably be doing, but we're going to go for it. So, I'm going to pull my blade up, and I watch right here. I have marks on my knobs. So I'm moving this forward till I make sure the blade is almost up to the block of clay. I have it above the surface. I don't want it scraping my blade. Okay, a little bit more. So my blade is almost to my clay. Now my first slice won't be even because I touched it and pushed it. So, if everyone sees, if you can see, there's a letter X on that part, on that one side. There's 6 sides to that nut. So if I go 1, 2, 3, I go to the dot, and I'm going to take a cut, and I'm not there yet. I got some magnets on here I want to take off. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And I just got into the clay. 1, 2, 3. These are half turns I'm taking. I'm still not fully into the slice, so I'm going to do one more time. Okay. Then I use a tool like a needle tool to pull my clay off of there. Now I should be into nice even strips. And for the video purposes, I'm going to do one full turn. Oops, I went backwards. Huh. Ready? All the way around once to my X. I'm going to need 5 of these. They do have a new mini slicer. It's wood. You put it together yourself. It actually works quite well. This mechanism that moves the machine forward, called the ease, is very precise on it. Okay, there's 5 slices. So that's all I'm going to need for my demonstration. And I will be back to put this together and use the Create template for it in my next video. See you soon. This is Jan from Gembox Designs. My Facebook page is Blendangles, all one word. You can go there and see links to the videos and look at my tools under the photo albums. There's an album called Blendangles Store. And I'll be back shortly with another video. I will be posting them all at the same time so you can watch them in succession.